back here with another video, wanting to talk about something that I think we all deal with in one way or another, whether we're getting it or we're giving it. Criticism is a big part of pretty much our everyday lives. And so, a while back, I wrote a blog talking about what I thought were the rules of criticism. I really think about this so often because, let's face it, people tend to enjoy criticizing other people. They don't like taking it, but they do like giving it. Whether they fully understand the circumstances that led to whatever they're criticizing someone about, people do enjoy their criticisms. So a little more than 2 years ago, I wrote a post on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, and the post was about the rules of criticism. And sometimes when you put a post up on Facebook that can be maybe somewhat controversial, you never really know how it's going to be received. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway because it was something that was on my mind because, predictably, I was in a position where I saw someone that was criticizing someone, and I thought, I'm not sure if this person really has thought it through or really understands the rules that should govern reasonable criticism. Constructive criticism, some people might say it. So, what are the rules of criticism? Rule number one for criticism is a person should always know what they're talking about. This is one of the biggest issues with people who tend to criticize others. How many times have you heard someone criticize you and you thought to yourself, they have no idea what the hell they're talking about? Yeah, I think about it quite a bit, and I think we've all felt that way. Probably quite a bit, I'm sure more than once. But go ahead and take count of how many times, and I'll wait. Sometimes we react with emotion and we don't take the time to truly understand the full implications of what is going on in a given situation. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily wrong to react with some emotion, but you really should be sure to go in with clear eyes and an open mind when you offer some criticism. And part of this is knowing what you're talking about. So take the time to think it through. If you're critical, make sure it's for all the right reasons. The second rule of criticism is to be respectful when you're making your criticism. And this can be pretty challenging for a lot of people. This is especially true when we react with high emotional content. How many times have we reacted in a knee-jerk reaction type of way to something that frustrates us without really taking the time to think it through and without showing a proper level of respect to the person that we're engaging with in this criticism? And really, nothing escalates like criticizing without showing at least a minimum level of respect to a person. Besides, if one criticizes without respect, then the sides typically end up fighting it out in a battle of pride where no one really wants to back up. Not even an inch. If you approach it with a calmness and an appropriate level of respect, you have a better chance of getting your point across, as long as your point makes sense, meaning you know what you're talking about, which goes back to the first rule of criticism. Even if you know what you're talking about, who will want to listen to you if you do it in a disrespectful way? That takes me to the last rule of criticism. Hear the other person's side of the story. And you have to do this in a fair and truthful way. This is another tricky one. Sometimes the person you disagree with may not have a good reason. This is true probably a lot more often than what any of us really want to consider. Sometimes people make decisions for all the wrong reasons and subsequently bend over backwards to try to justify their actions. Still, it's critical that you make a good faith effort to get the other person's side. Now, a word of caution, be prepared that they may not be, prepared for an explanation that would be satisfactory. Or, for that matter, they may not think you're worthy of an explanation. But you should do your due diligence and give the person an opportunity to at least make their case back. Now, these rules of criticisms may or may not be the case for everybody, but they sure occur to me that these are good rules to live by when you're criticizing somebody. No matter what side of criticism you're on, it can sometimes become emotional, especially because people tend to make decisions based on things that they actually believe. Now, sometimes they may come back and realize that they're wrong, but a lot of times when you're criticizing somebody, if you have to bring it up, chances are the person hasn't really thought about it your way. Not necessarily universally true, but a lot of times it tends to be true. So remember, know what you're talking about, be respectful, and hear the other person's side. Generally speaking, you should be in good shape if you follow these rules. You may or may not be completely satisfied. The other side may or may not be completely satisfied, but you'll probably be in pretty good shape, and you'll have an ethical and moral high ground that should count for something in the end of the day.